Okay, I put these on and I was looking around from a drone flying way above me in real time. These are drone goggles, not VR headsets. One from DJI and one from Antigravity. You put them on and you see the live feed straight from your drone's camera while you're flying it. On paper, they're chasing the same thing, that feeling of actually flying. In practice, one of them gets a lot closer than the other. And if you pick the wrong one, you're probably going to be disappointed. So these aren't regular VR headsets. They're built for flying drones in first person. But here's the thing, they do something our VR headsets still can't, which honestly, I kind of wish they could. And what's wild is how new this actually is. Drone goggles have been around for years, but goggles paired with a 360 drone where you can look in any direction while you fly? Right now, there are basically only two doing this. And as someone who's new to this, I've been having way more fun with this than I expected, so I wanted to compare what these actually feel like to use from the moment you put them on to how immersive they really are and which one actually makes sense for you. This is for you if you're just getting into drones, curious about 360 VR content, or just wondering how close this gets to real VR. This video is in collaboration with Antigravity, but my opinions are mine. If something's better on DJI's side, I'll tell you, you know how I do this. So on this side, you've got the Antigravity A1 with the Vision Goggles, and on this side, you've got the Avada 360 with the Goggles N3. So yeah, these are two drone setups, but for this video, I'm focusing on the FPV goggles because that's what you're actually experiencing everything through. I'm a VR veteran after all. Quick explanation if you're new to this, FPV basically means you put on a headset and see exactly what the drone sees live in real time. And because these drones shoot in 360, you're not locked to a forward view. You can move your head to explore the scene with a few caveats. Both headsets show you a flat screen with black edges around it, almost like watching a video on a TV screen, but then like a vampire in a dark cave. It's not full VR, there's no depth, both eyes see the same image. Think of it this way, in a VR game, you feel like you became a character in another world, right? Here, it's more like feeling like a pilot in a cockpit. You're looking out and not living in it. But that moment when you realize you can look anywhere around the drone and that it's real, that feels really cool. The Antigravity Vision leans heavily into that feeling. You get dual micro OLED displays, 2560 by 2560 per eye, running at 72 Hz with pancake lenses and HDR10+. So the image looks sharp, vivid, with really nice deep blacks. The field of view is about 90 degrees diagonal and the aspect ratio is more square, so it feels taller and more surrounding that way. You also get a few different viewing modes, like there's an immersive mode that fills more of your field of view, there's a comfort mode that zooms out with more black around, and a wide mode that's more like a TV screen. I switch between them a little. Personally, I just prefer comfort mode because immersion can feel a bit distorted at the edges without depth, and on longer flights that can make me slightly motion sick, though that's very subjective. The Vision also has this mode called Virtual Cockpit. You fly through a digital skin like riding a dragon with the real world still around you. There's even a third-person view and it's way more fun than I expected. The DJI N3 is completely different. You're looking at a single 1080p LCD display at 60 Hz with 54-degree field of view. The optics are more like bird bath style lenses, similar to some smart glasses where a mirror reflects the screen toward your eyes. So what you get is more of a widescreen image floating in front of you. It's smaller, flatter, and more contained. And you don't get different viewing modes here either, so what you see is what you get. The image quality isn't as strong as the Antigravity. You can tell it's LCD instead of micro OLED. Colors aren't as punchy, blacks aren't as deep. And side by side, it's not subtle. Going from the Antigravity back to the N3 genuinely feels like a downgrade. But you're still seeing a live feed from a drone in real time, and that alone gives you that feeling of being somewhere else. It's just a smaller window into it. Now, to be fair, this isn't a perfectly equal comparison. The Antigravity goggles are closer to something like the DJI Goggles 3, which also use dual micro OLED displays. The thing is, DJI doesn't bundle those with the Avada 360 right now, so realistically, most people Pro are going to end up with the N3, and that's why this comparison makes the most sense. But the difference in how they approach the experience, you really feel it once you start flying. The anti-gravity is way more intuitive. You look where you want to go with the goggles, press the trigger, and the drone follows. Within minutes, you're flying. It just clicks. The DJI is more controller first. By default, it doesn't follow your head. You're controlling everything with the motion controller. You tilt, you accelerate, and it responds to that. And it's fast. Like the first time I tried it, it genuinely caught me off guard. It's actually a bit scary at first. There's definitely more of a learning curve here. But once you start getting it, I can already tell that this is where you get those really precise cinematic shots. Alright, so how do these actually feel to wear? The Antigravity Vision Goggles come in at around 340 grams plus another 175 grams for the external battery. That battery sits on a strap around your neck, which helps take weight off your face, but the cable is pretty short, so it's kind of troublesome when you move around. Now you can buy a longer cable for it if needed. The DJI N3 is heavier overall at 536 grams, but everything is built into the headset. The battery sits in the back of the strap, which balances the weight really nicely. So even though it's heavier on paper, on your face it actually feels about the same. And the big difference here is just convenience. With the DJI, there are no cables, so you just put it on and go. But anti-gravity is much smaller and lighter on your face. Battery life is basically the same on both, around 2.5 to 2.7 hours. But honestly, that doesn't really matter much because your drone battery will die way before your goggles do. Now, there are a few features here that makes a difference in daily use and are worth mentioning. The anti-gravity gives you more control over the fit. You get built-in diopter adjustment from -5 to +2 and IPD adjustment from 59 to 72 millimeters. So you can really dial it in without needing glasses. There's also a black and white pass-through mode, so you can quickly check your surroundings without taking the headset off. And one of my favorite features is the external screen on the front. It shows people next to you exactly what you're seeing in real time, which sounds small, but it completely changes the experience when you're with others. And you can't really fly these without a spotter, so you have to have someone with you. Now the screen also shows firmware update progress and alerts, and yeah, you can even throw a cat screensaver on it, which I'm not saying is a must-have feature, but it is. Both goggles can also play video straight off a micro SD card. You can watch footage back in the headset, and the nice thing on the anti-gravity is it reads Insta360 files directly, and it's got sound built in, where the DJI needs headphones plugged in. Navigation is actually the same on both. You're using the controller like a 3-dot pointer, basically like a mouse in the air. Now, if you're coming from full 6-dot VR controllers, it might feel a bit simpler at first, but for this use case, it actually works really well. The DJI N3 is much simpler, no diopter adjustment, no IPD adjustment, and no pass-throughs. So if you want to look around, you will need to lift the headset, but it does fit over glasses, which is important, so it's less customizable but easier to just pick up and use. Oh, and both have the one-tap defogging. There's a small fan inside that clears the lenses pretty quickly, which is actually really handy when temperatures change. Now, this part is kind of crazy to me. You're wearing a headset and you're seeing a live feed from something that could be thousands of meters away. Like, it's not Wi-Fi in your house or in the same room, we're talking kilometers or miles. Now, on paper, DJI definitely leads here. With the Goggles N3, you're getting up to 13 kilometers of range using their O4 transmission system. The Avda 360 itself supports O4 Plus, which can go up to 20 kilometers, but that depends on the setup. The anti-gravity uses OmniLink 360, which goes up to 10 kilometers FCC. So these numbers could be a little bit different in Europe or other countries. Now, I haven't pushed both drones to their limits yet, but that's something I want to test properly later. So if you're interested in a full deep dive on these, let me know. DJI also has an advantage when it comes to latency. According to their specs, you're looking at around 130 milliseconds, while the anti-gravity is slightly higher on paper at 150 milliseconds. But honestly, for casual flying, I didn't really notice a meaningful difference. Both felt responsive. Now, if you're racing or doing really precise flying, that's where lower latency starts to matter more. For what I've been doing so far, mostly capturing shots and just flying around, it hasn't really been an issue. But this is where it gets crazy for me coming from VR, because this kind of wireless stability over that distance is something we still struggle with in PC VR streaming. Now, to be fair, VR is way more demanding. You need way lower latency, positional tracking, all of that, but still seeing this kind of range of stability in a headset like this kind of makes you wonder what's coming next. If you're into this kind of stuff, this is exactly the kind of tech we dive into here. Alright, let's zoom out for a second, because these aren't just goggles, they're part of two completely different ecosystems. On the DJI side, the Goggles N3 work with multiple drones, the Neo, the Avata 2, and now the Avata 360. So when you buy into DJI, you're buying into a much bigger drone system. With Antigravity, it's more focused. They're newer, so the vision goggles are built specifically for the A1, at least for now. Antigravity is backed by Insta360, and that really shows in how they approach this. The philosophies are pretty different. The Antigravity A1 is all about simplicity and freedom. It's lightweight, under 250 grams, and foldable, so it's actually the only 8K 360 drone that fits in your jacket pocket. It sticks to 8K at 30 FPS, but the idea here is simple: fly first, reframe later. It's built for creators who want something lightweight, easy to travel with, and ready to go almost anywhere without too much extra hassle. The DJI Avata 360 is more spec driven. With its dual 1.1 inch sensors, it's bigger, so it captures more light and detail than the A1. It also goes further on specs, 8K at 60 FPS, and it adds a 4K 60 single lens mode for traditional FPV shots. It also flies backward, which is a plus if you want to fly in tight spots, since the A1 needs to physically turn. But because it's over the 250 gram threshold, it's hit with more legal restrictions depending on where you live. Like over here, I have to actually do a test and get certified to fly this thing. And then there's price, which is where things really separate. The DJI Avata 360 starts at $549 for the drone alone. The full combo with the N3 goggles and the controller is around $979. The Antigravity A1 starts at $1,599, and that includes the goggles and controller. If you just look at the goggles, the gap is even bigger. The Antigravity goggles are $849 and the DJI N3 is $229. Now, if you compare that with the DJI Goggles 3, those come around $500, which does put things a bit closer. But still, DJI is being very aggressive here on price. So where does that leave us? Starting with the goggles, the Antigravity Vision Goggles are just on another level visually: sharper displays, better colors, more viewing modes, better adjustability. It's a much richer experience overall. The DJI N3 is simpler. It feels more like a flat screen in a headset, lower resolution, smaller field of view, but still good enough to give you that I'm there feeling. And at its price, it's actually very solid. For the bigger picture, the DJI setup is clearly the better value, lower price, stronger specs, more flexibility in the whole ecosystem, but it comes with a steeper learning curve. The Antigravity is the opposite. It's more expensive, but way easier to get into. You can pick it up, start flying almost immediately, and the whole 360 workflow with the app is just more developed because of Insta360. So my early take is this: if you care about visual immersion, ease of use, 360 content creation, and if you're coming from VR like me, so what you see while you're flying is what you care about most, Antigravity makes a lot of sense. If you care about price, performance, and more precise flying control, DJI is probably the better choice. And honestly, they're both fun. They just deliver that fun in completely different ways. Now, I haven't really pushed this into racing or super precise flying yet, but that's something I want to practice in the coming period. Now I'm curious, would you actually use something like this for fast, precise flying, or more for capturing cinematic shots? Let me know below. Check out Antigravity with the link below. You get a free landing pad through my link, and look out for any potential deals. And now if this video helped you at all, please hit like, it really helps. And if you're into XR, smart glasses, and future technology, you'll probably like what we do here.